Hello, good morning. Thank you for downloading the podcast. Today is a quite interesting day. We're going to be talking to Adam Mountford, who's, as I mentioned previously, is the current president of the Physiotherapy Society at King's, and he's in his final year, so he's the outgoing president. He's going to tell us more all about that, about him and about himself. And hopefully give us some top tips like Nadia did. If you haven't already listened to the interview about the Nadia's placement, then please go back and listen to that, and then come on to this one afterwards. I think it's useful to kind of listen to them in context. Otherwise, look forward to talking to you over there. So, welcome to Adam Mountford.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very well, very well. Recently just graduated from King's, obviously, having my summer break before I start my new job in September. So, everything is good at the moment. How about you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good indeed. So we've messaged a few times while we were trying to set this up, and you told me about your placement and your new job that's coming up. So I just wanted to just very briefly just find out a bit more about you and what led you to the journey to studying physiotherapy, if you can remember that far ago. And why you chose King's, all of that kind of stuff.
So I think in terms of physiotherapy, I've always enjoyed my sport. That was number one thing, and I also had a thing for biology, so I knew I wanted to go into either PE or kind of that biology route. So when I was in year 10, I was looking at the different avenues, and I knew that physiotherapy was something that would intrigue me a lot. And funny enough, when I was in year 10, I actually fractured and dislocated my shoulder.
Wow.
So yeah, I think from the experiences that I had with a physio at that time, it kind of pushed me further to actually pursue this as a career. And in terms of, university, so King's was never my first choice. Always wanted to go. I was set on going to Nottingham, but when I got to the interview stage, I didn't get accepted. And so,
Oh, really?
you hear all these stories where people got, 5 out of 5 university choices, whereas for me, King's was the only uni that accepted me.
Oh,
So
really?
in a way, yeah. So in a way, I didn't have a choice in terms of, what uni I had to go to. So, when it came to results day, straight from A levels, I knew, well, King's is my only choice. That's where I'll be going. And after my 3 years, I've made great friends. The course is actually really good, and I couldn't fault King's for my experiences at university.
Yeah.
So no, it was definitely worth going to King's.
Fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant. So again, it's probably quite a while ago. You probably might not be able to remember, but can you remember which universities you applied to?
Yeah, so my first choice was Nottingham. Second choice was Liverpool, where I think when you're at A levels, not a lot of people understand what physiotherapy is, and so when I sent my application, I got rejected within the first 2 days because in my personal statement, they thought I didn't have a greater understanding of what it was.
Right.
So that was a straight rejection. Applied to Birmingham, where they said that they want me, but they would rather me go through a 3-year sport and exercise program to then apply to MSc physiotherapy.
Right.
So I didn't accept that because I wanted to, get my, I guess, career first rather than, take an extra 5-6 years to complete a course. Applied to University of Bournemouth, where I had an interview, and that was my first ever interview. And
Right.
I can remember it. I remember going up there. It was a group interview. Going up there again, my name called out, sitting in the room, and I looked beside me. I have 4 mature students and a 17, 18-year-old me. There you go, a 17, 18-year-old me, and they could hear all my answers. And in my head, I was like, wow, I don't think I can stand up to the experiences they've had.
Right.
And so because of that, I was I was pressured a lot, and I knew that I was not going to get that that offer.
Yeah,
So it kind of set me up for my next interview, which was at King's, and it's where I am today, a
brilliant.
graduate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds. I mean, that's amazing. You've got. Sounds like you had those experiences and you learned from them, and then you took them to the interview, at King's in your final one, and then well, the rest, as they say, is history. So
Yeah,
that's brilliant. So you started your degree. If I can quickly do some maths in my head, in 2018.
yeah, 2018. Yeah,
2018. So the first couple of years would have been what we call normal.
normal.
Um, and then obviously your end of your second year and your entire final year,
Yeah,
um, you obviously went through what everybody else has gone through as well, with experiences with COVID and being restricted from university, but then going back again for 1 day a week and so on and so forth.
yeah.
Tell us about those experiences. What stands out for you about those?
Um, it's definitely a new way of learning, especially in a course where it relies so much on your practical skills as well.
Yeah,
Um, I know from my experiences in year one, you pretty much in every single day, you don't really have, I say placements. Whereas in my final year, I was lucky enough to have 3 5-week placements scheduled throughout the year. So, I wasn't stuck at home, sat on my laptop all day, which obviously was quite nice. Um, but I think one of the, I guess, unique experiences I had was doing MSK, an MSK placement, but virtually, which which makes no sense. But because I think on my first day, I turned up to the outpatient setting, and they said that most of our appointments are done via phone call. So you're sat there, you're going through all your subjective history, and then you're trying to get them to do an objective, and you're describing it over the phone, and you have no idea what you're doing.
right.
But
Yeah,
you're just going, you from that, you're just going based on your instincts, and you're going back to your year one and year two knowledge. So, for example, your knee joint, you're thinking what structures are there,
yeah,
what movements the knee can do, and then relaying back and thinking, okay, what's the patient telling me and what I think it is.
yeah.
So that was definitely, a, I guess, unique experiences, which I don't look forward to in the future, but
No.
there's not much we can do with that. And I think in second year, so it was towards the end of second year, we all our exams moved to online. And then in terms of so we were meant to have uh, 2 5-week,
It's in your final year.
free place. No, you
Three.
always do 3 placements in the final year.
Okay.
Um, but one of those placements was a level 5 rather than a level 6, because you meant to do
Right.
3 level 6 in your final year. So we had one level 5 in our final year, but because of the 2 scheduled placements which were cancelled in our second year, they did come up with a new system where you can get your hours, but you're going to be employed as a band 3 healthcare assistant or physiotherapy assistant. So this was, I'd say, technically my first paid role within the NHS,
Yes.
and especially during the first wave of the pandemic. I think it's one of those stories where you can, when you grow up, you can tell your kids that you worked in the pandemic.
I survived. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it was ever changed in my first week. We didn't have to wear masks around the hospital. Patients you had to, but around the hospital you didn't. And then following week they were like, yeah, all right, we're wearing masks. We have to do social distancing. So all of a sudden everything changed.
Yeah.
Um, but working throughout that time, it's just given me I guess, greater appreciation into what not just physios, but everyone within the NHS do. And it's something that I'm quite proud of, and look
Yeah.
forward to giving back whenever I start my next job.
Yeah. I mean, without giving any confidential information on patient information, which obviously we're not allowed to do. What role were you doing during that time?
So I was so as a so I was mainly assisting the band 5 PTs on the ward, just helping with mobility practice or assessments. On the occasional times, they actually let me, because they knew as a year 2 physiotherapy student, I need to get some way of learning. So they did kind of push me in. All right, Adam, you go into this patient, say they've come in with an acute exacerbation of COPD, just do an assessment, and we can go and talk about that afterwards.
Mm.
So for me, it was a lot about, assess from a learning point of view. It was more about, how I do my cardio assessments, and then, you know, especially with this placement, it was a lot to do about, discharge planning. So you see a patient, you come out, okay, what are you thinking? Are you thinking home? Are you thinking potential inpatient rehab? Are you thinking maybe, they haven't got good rehab potential, and so you're thinking, okay, they can either go care home, but you have to also think about what does the patient actually want, or even the family members.
Mm.
So I think I did a lot of discharge planning, which as a student, when you do it first time, it's quite hard because with all these professionals, it comes second nature. They see a patient, they know what to do. Whereas for me, you're like, okay, you're jotting all the potential routes, and you're thinking what are the positives and negatives of each one, and then deciding. So that's something that I did a lot. And then it's just normal rehab, getting
Okay.
someone from stairs assessment,
Yeah, yeah,
stairs practice, and just getting them back to where they were at their baseline.
yeah. See, the reason I ask is a good friend of mine is he's a year below you, but he's at St George's.
Yeah,
So he's a year above me, a year below you at St George's, and he went off and did vaccinations.
yeah,
So he was doing vaccinations in our local area, and he spent 3 months doing that basically instead of being in the university. But he said it was still a good experience
yeah.
and the
Well,
like. So
not many physios do it, do they?
no, exactly
Yeah.
that. So it's good. So one quick final question about your university experience. How has your view of physiotherapy changed from that, 16-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid who did who just finished their A levels, was looking to go to some universities to do physiotherapy, to the man you are now, just about to start your first rotational job, I beg your pardon. How's your view changed?
I think so. When you're, well, I guess 16 to 18, everyone views physiotherapy as what they see on TV. Player goes down injured, running onto pitch, providing that, and then even just that cliche, sports massage. So initially, before I went to uni, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be learning, you know, first aid, how to provide sports massage, and just all of that stuff. But now, especially in first year, it kind of expands your knowledge to what are the different areas of physiotherapy. So your main three ones, obviously your musculoskeletal, your cardiorespiratory, and your neuro. And especially having placements in all these different settings, you get a bigger. I think you definitely get a bigger appreciation and understanding of, yes, physio can be related to sports, but it's so much more than that.
Mm.
And um, and then especially in your first when you get to your final year, so yeah, you've got your three main topics, but then you can expand that out to further. So you've got like women's health, you can learn more about you know I guess ICUs, but not even just ICU with infants and babies, which you really wouldn't really think about because you can see they don't do that much.
No, they honestly
And
don't.
yeah,
Babies honestly do
they
nothing.
don't, but physios can do a lot more than what you see on TV, and um, yeah, it's just something that I appreciate a lot more. And thinking when I was back in 18, I thought I wanted to potentially go into sports physio, but now I'm a lot more interested into doing the kind of neuro rehab side of things, specifically with stroke patients, and because that's something I did as a placement, and funny enough, it was actually my first placement, and that was a good kind of insight into the greater physio side of things, and it's something that I really want to pursue because you're there for 6 weeks, you see a patient every single day,
Yeah.
you see that progress, you build that relationship, and that's something that I thrive on. Knowing that I can make a difference to someone's life in those 6 weeks provides me great achievement, and that's what I think physio is. You
Yeah.
know, making a difference in someone's lives that they live a better one.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's a, yeah, it's a really inspiring statement, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good job that Liverpool rejected you to for straight
yeah,
physio, isn't it? Otherwise, you'd be just finishing your sports science degree, just
yeah,
about to start your physio masters,
yeah,
and the NHS would have missed out on a fantastic new recruit. So things happen for a reason, don't they?
yeah.
Brilliant. So after all of that, you became the president of the Physiotherapy Society. How
Yeah.
did you get involved in the society?
So when I was in my second year, I was the kit sec. So what I did was, when you, as you know, when you're on campus and you see all the other physio students, either wearing, the KCL physio hoodie, and some of them wear the polos to placements. So I was involved in the designing and giving everyone that. And then when it came to my final year, they were pushing, or they wanted someone to become president, and I knew that if I applied, it'd be something that would be very good on my CV, and it'd be also something I can talk about within my interviews in terms of what are your personal qualities. So if you're president, good leadership, and that'll be good for in terms of when you're going to go from a 5 to a 6, from a 6 to a 7. And so that's something that I wanted to practice, and being the president of the Physio Society gave me that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, really, that you had the COVID in
Yeah,
the background at the same time as
yeah,
all this going on, and there wasn't as much stuff that society was doing. But
yeah.
what kind of things would the society do in a normal circumstance, and what kind of things did they end up doing instead?
So in normal times,
Normal times.
yeah, the society would work. So we'd have like academic reps who would be in. So for you, it'd be a person in year above who will provide. So it'll be like Archie. He would provide you with questions from previous year's papers for you to obviously practice,
Yeah,
and they would organise in-person OSCE revision sessions.
yeah,
So you obviously can go within the practical rooms where there would be 3 or 4 people from the year above coming down, just helping you go through the OSCEs, and what talk about what OSCEs they did the previous years, and just advice that they would provide, the advice they would give to you. So from academic side would be that, and then because of the pandemic, we haven't had been able to do a more social side. So
yeah,
we have designated social secs who obviously come up with all these plans. So in my first year, they so each year they do a surprise tour. So everyone who wants to go on tour pays a certain amount. I think the first year was like £150 for a weekend. You don't know where you're going until you get to the airport.
wow,
Um, so in my first year, they went to Barcelona,
nice.
which actually no, Budapest in first year, and the second year was Barcelona. So
Both good venues.
yeah, yeah, no, cheap as well. So yeah, they come up with surprise tours, which is obviously one of the highlights of the year. Um, and every single and then at the end of the year, we also host a physio ball. So everyone from first year to through to third year, plus MSCs, we have like a big party at the end where
Right.
they'll get a venue. Everyone's dressed up in black tie, their nicest dresses, and you're just there to celebrate, your achievements from the last
Mm.
year, and then just spotted around different throughout the year. You've got, your regular social, so your pub quiz, your mini golf, even just golf range at the Top Golf, um, roller skating, box park, Winter Wonderland. So these are just some of the many socials which we did within my first and second year.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's a shame that we haven't been able to do this year, but hopefully the social sex for next year. I
Might
think
have a bit more freedom.
yeah, as you know, I think it's Georgie. So you
I know Georgie. Yeah, I know Georgie.
so
She's my yeah.
so it'll
Hello,
be
Georgie.
yeah. So hopefully it'll be a lot more fun for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if we get that freedom, then that'll be good to do that. Because just a very, very quick side note, I personally think that my year has missed out on so much in terms of
Yeah,
enrichment when it comes to the social side of physiotherapy of any student life, really. Not so much just the going out and drinking and everything, which
yeah,
I know there's lots of younger people who are probably more interested in that than I am. But the fact that even the smaller stuff, like you guys are in campus 4 days a week, 4.5 days a week, whatever it was, and traveling from one venue to another venue via the coffee, you'd be talking about what you just listened to, what you didn't understand, all that kind of stuff. Whereas my group and the group above us, the current year twos going into year threes, a little bit of impact.
yeah,
We were only once a week, so every single time we were together, we were always catching up. How was your week? How was your work? And not really talking about the stuff that we should have been talking about, which was the lectures and the learning,
yeah,
and absorbing it that way. So that's one of the reasons. I don't know if you've managed to listen to or see my intro yet. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast and invite people like you, Adam, on to kind of give us that kind of extra level of engagement, and allow us to kind of learn a bit more and learn through your experience as well. So that's brilliant. So, oh, by the way, just another quick one thing about Archie. I don't know how. I've obviously never experienced anybody else's involvement from the top down, but I loved Archie. Never met him, but I
yeah.
think he's brilliant.
No, he's for this year. He's been, I think, the biggest help in the society. On our Instagram, he's been coming up with these infographics, just helping revision for anyone who would like to go into physiotherapy, or even just your year
Yep.
ones, your year twos. So he's been a massive help, and he's definitely going to be a big miss as he's
Yeah.
obviously final year MSc. So
Yeah.
he is a
Good.
wonderful person.
So if you're listening to this and if you're listening to this and you're not following the Physio Society on Instagram, make sure you go follow them, because there's lots of information on there that's going to be useful to you. You told me offline that you're going to be supporting the society, supporting the new president for a while after you've finished, after you've left. What will you be doing?
Yeah. So the new president, who's in our current second year, is actually called Damien as well. um, go Damians. So from my standpoint, I will be. I think what in previous years, what I think we've lacked is that connection between current students and alumni. So what I would like to do is, when given the chance, is obviously host sessions where I can help students prepare for whenever they're ready to graduate, and lead on to your band 5 interview questions, because you're obviously your physiotherapy interview questions, because obviously they're very different to what they were when you're applying for university. They're a lot more clinical, a lot more about personal skills. So from that kind of standpoint, I want to be able to help students go from that step of physiotherapy student to band 5 physiotherapist. So
Yeah.
I help students from that, and even just throughout the year, just if I know in your final year you don't have someone that would help you in terms of essay advice or exam advice, where in comparison to your first and second year. So that's something that I would do as well.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. So, because I suppose when you get into your final year, it's expected that you're going to be helping. That's the wrong word, but helping down the
Yeah,
the gradient, as it were. There's a better term for that, I'm sure. But there's no one helping you. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense to do that. Just a couple of quick fire questions now. What advice have you got for my cohort, which is the new year twos, and anybody who's starting any physiotherapy degree, but specifically at King's
yeah.
in September?
I think one advice which I can give to year twos is the content is very heavy in your second year. Just obviously you want to start early, but never give up. I went into in first year I did very well. Got into my second year thinking, okay, I'm going to do the same. Done my first essay, and it was something that I was not very proud of. I think I got 50 or 45, so that's obviously not a good grade. And so I kind of in my head I'm thinking, wow, I messed up here. Could it impact my goal of trying to get a first class honours at the end of my final year? And I thought to myself, Joe, it's now or never. Put in the hard work for the next 2 years. After that, you're going to get your job. You're going to do well. And so for those 2 years, I put in the hard graft, and lucky enough, I actually came out with a first class. So just never give up. Just never give up, even if you don't get the results you want, because one essay won't define you overall. And then for first years, for new students coming to first year, is to find a good group of friends. With physiotherapy, it's so not like, I guess, your other courses like your history, your geography, where you be able to write essays individually, you could be able to do revision individually. With physiotherapy, if you find your good group of friends, all you need to do is book a room for half an hour, an hour, and literally just talk to each other all about physio, because that's what I did in my first year. We literally sat there, and for the anatomy exam, you literally, okay, Damien, go through the root of the sciatica nerve, and you're just testing each other. You don't have, and then even with that, you can go into your practical rooms and you can practice on each other. So that's what my advice is: just find a good group of friends where they'll be pushing you and you can push them.
Yeah. Brilliant. Very good. And your favourite placement?
Favourite placement, definitely
over the whole 3 years.
Yeah, stroke rehabilitation at King George's in Goodmayes. Definitely my favourite placement.
Is that because it was local?
Less commute time, but no, it was the fact that you're there for 6 weeks, and there was one patient where I actually grew a good relationship with, and on my final day when I had to leave, it was quite emotional, but he definitely made the progress within that 6 weeks, and it was good to see. So definitely stroke rehab.
Brilliant. And you may have already said this, but what was your favourite module over the 3 years?
Do you know what? I don't know if I actually have a favourite module, but if I had to, it'd probably be those preparation for practice, because that's when you are on placement, and that's where you do a lot of your learning, because it's different. I don't know if you did it in your first year, where you were in your practicals, you were basically doing stroke positioning, and
Yep.
you got a friend there who is pretending to have one side paralyzed. So
yeah,
when you get onto your actual placement and you experience the real thing, completely different.
Yeah.
And that's where you do all your learning. You basically, all you need on placements, all you need to do is just embrace it, go head first, ask as many questions as possible, just try and jot everything, bring a notebook, jot everything down, and hopefully you can absorb all of that and go on towards your next placement.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, we didn't have that, no, because we had obviously we weren't really allowed to touch each other anyway.
Yeah.
So we had videos. Claire White did most of the demonstration videos. I can't remember who her patients were. There may have been other tutors, but I know that for one of the modules it was her son's, or her son, beg your pardon, one of her sons. So thank you to them as well for contributing to our education. So final question, really. We know where we've started, that you had an idea of what physiotherapy was. That's been changed while you've been doing your degree. You've had lots of experiences. You've now got your first job as a band 5. Where's the dream taking you now? Where's the goal?
So I think, I want to, obviously graduating from uni, I think I want to be a neuro physiotherapist. But obviously my first band 5 is a rotational post. So I'm open to experiencing pretty much everything within the hospital. What it should be able to give me. Um, so yeah, I'll obviously do my band 5 rotations for a couple years. And when I come to 6, I am hoping to specialize in stroke rehab or neurosurgery, depending on my experiences within those rotations. But that is the plan, to become a neurotherapist. That's
Wow.
the big picture.
Wow. So that's a very, very different picture from the boy who finished
Yeah,
A levels to the man who's just finished his degree and then will future go on. That's a very different person, isn't it?
yeah,
So
100%.
how do you feel? What's the biggest impact that university and specifically King's has had on you?
I think it's I think I've definitely grown as a person. I think I'm a lot more confident, a lot more mature, and that's just from, I think, not even just during the course. It was through my friends. As you may know, within your cohort, especially my cohort, there's not many 18, 19-year olds. So a lot of my friends were mature students, and that gave me the platform to be more mature, be a lot more confident. So that's, I think, throughout my whole degree, a lot of my personal development has actually been due to having great friends and getting me to where I am today.
Brilliant. Adam Mountford, President of the Physio Society, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.